Okay there, enthusiasts of the Letterman Podcast. It's your old pal, Mike. I'm excited to be starting to do some of these smaller videos that won't constitute an entire episode of the Letterman Podcast, but might be slightly entertaining or, have a kernel of insight. I'm excited to do this. I'm grateful to be having this position and this program. So thank you very much for tuning in. What are we talking about today? Well, first off, you might notice a new set. This is the first video that we're shooting in the new set. I hope you like it. It's not complete. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff done on both of these walls behind us, and we're going to be configuring some other things in the studio as well, some technological upgrades and some more soundproofing and things like that. But it's fun to actually do things as in the middle of the progression, so you can actually be part of the evolution. You can watch the evolution of what's going on. So anyway, today we're going to do one of our shorter videos just for the YouTube audience, and we'll put it up in the Facebook group. So if you haven't joined the Letterman Facebook group, please join that. We're going to start giving some stuff away here soon. I've been saying that for a couple months now, but it is true. It's going to be happening very soon. Some very fun stuff we're going to be giving away. So what are we talking about today in this first short? Well, people want to know the story about this picture. What is this? Sarah Palin. Oh my gosh, there's a picture of Sarah Palin, and it's addressed to the Letterman Podcast. How did that happen? Well, and by the way, before we even get going on this, we would love to have Governor Palin on the Letterman Podcast. We would love to have her on there. Now, before anybody gets into anything, I'm not political in any way, shape, or form. I am not taking a side, left, right, red, blue, white, green, whatever the different colors are. That's not what this is about at all. I'm an archivist in many respects. And again, the subject of the archive that we are talking about here is the greatest body of broadcasting work in history, that of David Letterman and Company. I say it like I'm a broken record, because I probably am. There's something wrong inside of me that makes me repeat things like that over and over again, much to your delight or disdain. Take your pick. But anyway, part of David Letterman's 2009 year included a bit of a dust-up with then Governor of Alaska and candidate for Vice President of the United States, Sarah Palin. The footage is online still. We're not at the point where I can just suddenly go, okay, snap my finger and show the clip of Dave going into some jokes that he told about Governor Palin and her family's visit to New York. And he told these jokes. Many people thought the jokes were funny. Some people didn't like them, especially those who would consider themselves, fans or enthusiasts or supporters of Governor Palin at the time. But Dave made these jokes. They created a bit of a dust up for him. And on, I believe it was the Monday after, he might have told the jokes on a Thursday night. On the Monday after, he then came on to the show to address the dust up, to make very clear things that he, intended with the jokes, things that he didn't intend with the jokes, and things that he did not stand for. That being said, at the end of the, would you call it an apology? I would say that he apologized. Maybe watch the clip and come back on here and let me know if you think that it's an apology or not. And by the way, let's not get into the political comments in this. Like, again, that's not what we're about. We're about positive, fun, and then archiving some of these things. And this was a moment in history that happened between two very big personalities within, the North American eye, or even the world's eye at that point. Dave had this dust up with Governor Palin. He then addressed it, following. There was I would say an apology. That apology did not seem to be accepted, and many of Governor Palin's supporters actually, started being vocal in their disdain for Dave at the time. And there were actually protesters outside of the Ed Sullivan Theater, some of them saying Dave should be fired, which is very interesting because he actually owned up to the idea that maybe he might have offended. There might have been some poor taste there, and then drew a line in the sand saying, what he didn't do and how he didn't feel. I wish there was more of that in our society right now, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, Dave addressed the situation, invited Governor Palin and onto the show. She declined, went on other people's shows instead, and then every once in a while would throw rocks over at David Letterman. And that was kind of that. I'm certain that Dave probably made jokes about her after the fact. I mean, as he did about anybody who's in the public eye at that point. I mean, that's really, at the end of the day, you look at late night hosts' job description, it's to make fun of people. And that being said, I want to take you back to a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, I was going to Toronto to help my friend who owns a memorabilia store at a memorabilia convention that was happening. And so, he brings hockey cards and sports jerseys and sports memorabilia, autographed baseballs and hockey pucks and things like that. And he sells them. He buys, sells, and trades, and that's what he does for a living. And he does very well at it. It's a good gig, and I enjoy that stuff. I'm a sports fan, gigantic Los Angeles Kings fan. I went there to meet Marcel Dion. Very, very excited. Since I started hosting the Letterman podcast, I bring a Late Show with David Letterman t-shirt. Anytime I go out of town, I have a t-shirt with me, at least a Late Show t-shirt, furnished, of course, by Rupert G., the Letterman podcast, sponsored, of course, by the Hello Deli. If you need any Letterman merchandise of any sort, mugs, shirts, things like that, go to hello-deli.com. Anyway, Rupert has outfitted me with t-shirts, and I still have t-shirts from back in the day, so I always bring one with me. I am very grateful that I am in that habit, because when I was on the plane flying to Toronto, somebody remarked to me, "Oh, hey, this convention that we're going to, yeah, Governor Sarah Palin has been added to the list of guests that you can go and meet." And I just kind of sat there for a second. I was like, really? Sarah Palin, really? I wonder if, do you think, is she doing a signing? Yeah, she's signing autographs, and apparently you can go talk to her and all that. And I'm like, well, heck, I should invite her to come on the Letterman podcast. I mean, Stranger Things and all that kind of stuff, right? It'd be interesting to find out her opinion of things, all these years later. No hard feelings, that kind of a thing. No political agenda whatsoever. I mean, I'm Canadian. I got no dog in this fight. Again, I don't even know the colors of the respected parties that we're talking about. It's nothing to do with political. It has to do with the fact that this happened. And so I just thought, okay, well, let's see if we can make this happen. Now, at that point, I wish that I had one of my Worldwide Pants crew jackets. I thought to myself, it'd be pretty cool to get myself a picture of me taken with Governor Palin wearing a Worldwide Pants jacket. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, so I'm thinking about this the next couple of nights, and sure enough, 2 days later, I find myself at this show, and I excuse myself from the booth that I was helping my friend with, and I said, you know what, I gotta go meet Sarah Palin. And so I had found myself a picture of her in that time, and I thought, well, this is going to be very interesting, what might happen when we go and meet Sarah Palin, because the last time that I had heard her talk about David Letterman, she was very spirited and not necessarily enthusiastic about it. She was very she was very definite in the idea that maybe Dave had stepped over a line or something like that. And I thought, well, you know what, maybe we can let bygones be bygones. It's part of history. It's part of Dave's history. I think that there's something here. So anyway, I go. Now, the reason that she was at this convention, by the way, is she is involved with a former New York Ranger, and he was at the event. And I guess what had happened was he had said to the promoter, "Hey, well, I've got Sarah Palin with me. Would you like me to, would you like her to be included in the list of guests?" And they said, "Sure, let's do that." So I went to stand in front of this former New York Rangers line along with Sarah Palin, and I'm sitting there waiting politely with my Sarah Palin picture. I'm wearing a sport jacket, very similar to the one I'm wearing right now, with a Late Show with David Letterman shirt underneath it. And I do admit, I kind of closed it up a little bit. I wasn't sure what my reception was going to be when I met her. And so anyway, I waited for the line to go, and some people were there with their New York Rangers jerseys or their different hockey pucks or hockey paraphernalia that they wanted to get autographed. And then every third or fourth person in the lineup was somebody who had either Governor Palin's book or something like that as well. So it seemed like there were a lot of people who were there and excited to meet her as well. So anyway, the line moved and the line moved and the line moved. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to say to her and hoping that it was going to be a pleasant exchange. And I got to tell you, so as we got up there was about two people in front of me. And I thought, okay, I really want to listen. I knew that they were there for Governor Palin. And so I was listening. I wanted to hear how the exchanges went. Now, I will tell you this. The first gal that walked up to her, I have no idea what was said, because that was when I really started paying attention to Governor Palin. And I will tell you this woman has charisma. She oozes charisma. She is extremely magnetic. I can't tell you why. It's that certain something that some people just have. She's got it, and she's got it in spades. Anyway, so I don't know what they talked about, but I did notice one thing. She commented on the outfit the gal was wearing. And I thought, okay, interesting. The next gal who came up, the first thing Governor Palin did was comment on the outfit that she was wearing. And I thought, oh boy, she's going to look right down at my Late Show with David Letterman t-shirt that I was wearing. That's the first thing she's going to do. And I wasn't certain how that was going to go. And so I was a little bit nervous. And I don't usually get nervous about these types of things. But today, at this point, I was nervous. And finally, it came to my turn, and I got to the front of the line, and I held my phone to the handler that was there and said, if you wouldn't mind, as Governor Palin signs my picture, if you wouldn't mind getting a few photos, that would be very much appreciated. And she said, no problem. Let's do this. So I walk up, and she looks at me, and she didn't look at my t-shirt that I saw. And she says, hello. I said, Governor Palin, my name is Mike Chisholm. I'm from Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, so the other side of the country. And I'm very, very excited to meet you. And she looked at me and she said, oh, that's very sweet. And I'll tell you this, I can understand how she charms people. Boy, she just has this congeniality to her that is quite remarkable. And I just kept on, though I was sort of well rehearsed. And I said, Governor Palin, I just wanted to let you know, I was an admirer of Senator McCain. I really appreciated Senator McCain and his, even though I didn't always agree with his points of view on things, I did appreciate many things about him, including the fact, of course, that he served. And I just appreciated him very, very much. And I appreciated him as a statesman. And I'm too stupid to know if this is something real or if this is something practiced, but she kind of melted when I said that. And I appreciated that very much. It felt like we were having a genuine moment where she appreciated hearing what I was saying. Of course, Senator McCain no longer with us. And I was gaining confidence at that point, because it was just a nice little exchange. It was a very nice exchange. And I handed the picture over, and And I said, would you mind signing this? And she said, of course, no problem at all. And she signed her autograph at the top. I said, I was actually hoping that you might dedicate it. Would you be open to doing that? And she said, absolutely. Of course I will. I said, great. I have a podcast. And she looked and she said, oh, that's nice. And as soon as she looked at me and said, oh, that's nice, I watched her look down at the t-shirt. She looked right here at my chest, right in the middle of this logo right here, the Late Show with David Letterman logo, and it's the blue shirt. And she's looking down, and I look at it, and then she looks back up at me. And as she was doing that, she said, what kind of podcast do you have? And I said to her, I said, well, I'm actually the host of the Letterman podcast. And I swear to God, this is what she did. She had her pen in her hand because she just signed her name at the top of it, right? She had her pen in her hand, and then she went like this. And she looked at me for a second. And I just looked back and smiled. And she looked at me, and it was like she was really trying to figure me out. And she just looked at me, and she got this little smirk. And it was, again, charming as all get out. This little smirk. And she goes, "You're bold." And I was like when she said that to me, I got to tell you, charming, disarming hit me right here in the chest. "You're bold." And I was like, I don't know about that. And she goes, wait, she goes, "You're the host of the Letterman podcast." And yeah, as in David Letterman. Yes. And she goes, "You are so bold." Like almost like she could have subbed in the word naughty. Like, "You're naughty." Like that. This is like, what's going on here? And I said, look, I said, I'm an archivist. And this was a big moment in pop culture history, the moment that I kind of started talking about here when we started this video. And I said it was a big moment in pop culture. It was a big moment in broadcasting, pop culture, politics, all mixed into one. A lot of crazy moments were happening during that time. And she goes, "Okay, hold on." She goes, "You want me to dedicate this to the Letterman podcast?" I said, "I would love that very much. Please. Yes, that would be great." And she goes, "You're going to put it up in the podcast studio?" I said, "You're darn right I am." And she looks at me and she goes, "They're going to throw darts at you." And I said, "I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen because a lot of time has passed, and it was a time in history that we can look back on, and I think we can laugh." And she looked at me and she's just like, "You're bold." She said it again. She must have told me I was bold 10 times. And I'm not exaggerating. Throughout the exchange, she must have said it 10 times. Like, I'm pretty sure I took her aback, and I'm pretty sure she'll always remember that. Yeah. And so Governor Palin, of course, standing invitation. You ever want to come on the Letterman podcast? We would love to have you on here. And of course, just like everything, we keep everything positive. No gossip, no slander, none of that stuff. We can talk and we can laugh about things. So anyway, she looks and she picks up the pen again, and she goes to the Letterman podcast, and she underlines she underlines it, and she goes and she looks at me and she goes, "I want to put something." I said to her, "You put whatever you want. Like, you want to put something tongue in cheek? You want to put something clever, sarcastic? You do whatever you want. I just very much appreciate this." And she goes, "I do wish you luck." And I said, "Well, thank you. I appreciate that." And she goes, "Good luck with this. Good luck with this." That's what I'm going to say. And I'm going to underline this. And you know what? That's exactly what she did. To the Letterman podcast. Good luck with this. And at that point, my only regret is that I didn't actually keep the telephone in my hand, and I would have actually taken a video of the whole thing. But there it is, right there. And check that out. I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. And the people in line behind me. There was actually a pretty cool story with those people as well. I guess at one point, the gal's husband was just like not knowing what he was seeing and couldn't believe what was kind of going on there. So there was a lot of laughter happening and stuff, and it was really good. Nice big handshake at the end, and once again, "You're bold," and all that. And it just was one of those things where I believe that comedy can transcend everything. I believe that what Dave did in many times transcends things, and he can turn many mortal moments immortal. I appreciate so much the memory of those moments and laughing. the two of them trying to get over each other, get on one up on each other. Dave, of course, sitting in the big chair, being able to always respond back, not just in this case, but when he responded back to things, it was one of the greatest things to witness as an enthusiast of David Letterman. I just appreciated it very much. And then, Sarah, he invited her on the show. She never came on the show. She went on other people's shows and whatnot, and that was her way of trying to one up or get back, and to each their own. And it was a phenomenal moment in broadcasting history and the history of David Letterman. So there's a few people who have asked me to tell the story. Obviously, the picture is going to be going up here somewhere. I'm not sure if it's going to be exactly on camera or what it's going to look like when we have everything set up here in the new studio. But we're having a lot of fun doing this. I appreciate every single person that has given a heartfelt comment or critique. There hasn't been a lot of mean stuff yet. I assume that when we get bigger, that's going to happen. It just seems to be the nature of the internet these days. But we're not going to pay attention to that. We're going to pay attention to the everybody else out there who just really appreciates David Letterman and company, the entertainment, all of the things that have that we've seen for all this time, ever since I was a boy. I just appreciate it. I love hosting the Letterman Podcast. Got some great episodes coming up here soon. And we're going to start catering to the YouTube audience a little bit more. We're going to start taking some moments out of these episodes, little anecdotes or contained 2 or 3 minute clips. And we're going to start putting them up on the YouTube as well, because I understand that whether it's 45 minutes or some of them are an hour and a half, 2-parters, sometimes it's hard to consume all of that at once. So the audience of that has asked for that. We're going to start doing that as well. Call this a kickoff video to that. Thank you very much. My name is Mike Chisholm. I am the host of the Letterman Podcast. Please feel free to subscribe. Please feel free to watch any of the other videos that we have, and come evolve as we evolve. No, wait, you're probably already evolved. Come watch us evolve. There we go. And help us. Be there with us. My name is Mike Chisholm. Thank you and good night.
Overcoat and underpants.